Hi there, I'm Jennifer Heinen, also known as Jennifer Jangles, and I'm here at Sizzix today to show you how to make my mermaid doll. I was inspired to make her because I love the beach. I've got all of my pieces here ready to put on the die, and I'm just going to bring the die over and we'll get started placing them so they can be cut. Now for her bangs and the back of her hair, I placed paper-backed fusible webbing onto the fabric before I'm going to cut it. That way it's all ready to iron on when the time comes. So I've got the lower body. I'm going to fold this together with the right sides facing and place it on the die so that way I have two pieces that line up when it's time to sew. For the fins, I need two sets, so I'm going to fold this into a quarter and place it on there. Let's see. This is for her hair. Once again, I'm going to fold it. You could cut this into 4 squares if you found that easier, but I just like to fold it and place it on the die this way. It's just quicker. I've got 2 heads from the beige fabric, and we need 2 sets of arms, so I'm going to fold that too. Place it there. And then this is the back of her hair. And so I'm going to place that fabric side down. It makes it cut just a little better on the die. And I've got 2 pieces for the bangs. And I'm going to place these actually right sides together. And then I have 2 pieces of felt. I'm going to cut out 2 stars for the starfish on her hair and then 1 orange one. And I'm actually going to cut the felt in half because it just will lie flatter on the die. I'm going to stack those 3 up, place it on the die, and I'm ready to cut it. So I've got my cutting pads. I'm going to put 1 on the bottom and 1 on the top. That'll flatten out all those folds that we have. And I'm just going to run it through my Big Shot Plus. I've got all the pieces cut out, and now it's time to iron the appliques to the mermaid's head. The one thing that you'll need to do is the hair piece has part of her neck on here. So what I do is just right across the bottom here, cut a little curve, and that makes the back of her hair line. And you'll just peel the paper-backed webbing off and iron it on here. And then her 2 bangs will go 1 on each side over on the other head. I will iron these down and then take them to the machine and top stitch just along these lines to hold them in place. Next, we're going to sew the hair and the fins and the arms together. And these are really easy. We're just going to take 2 sets of the arms with right sides facing, and I'm going to pin around the edges of the arm. And then once I have it pinned, I will sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around this outer edge and just leave the top unstitched so we can turn it. And the same thing with the 2 hair buns, right sides together. I will pin around the outside and leave this top edge open and just stitch again with a 1/4 inch seam allowance around. And then with the fins, it's the opposite. We're going to place the 2 sets of fins together with the right sides of the fabric out and just top stitch around the fins on top. We're not going to end up turning these inside out. They'll stay just as they are. Now that the arms and buns and everything are sewn, I'm going to go back and clip up to the seam line just around all of the curves. This way, when we turn it right sides out, the curves will be nice and smooth. I've got it clipped. I'm going to turn this right sides out and fill it with a little bit of fiber fill. I've got the arms and the hair filled with fiber fill, and I've put a couple pins in the top just to hold them in place. And I'm going to set those aside. I have the hair top stitched on. And then now it's easiest to sew the eyes and the mouth on while it's still flat and doesn't have any fiber fill in it. You can wait until the end to sew the eyes on if that's what you prefer, but this is the method I like. Just makes it easier. So I hand stitched 2 1/4 inch buttons on for eyes and gave her just little stitches for eyelashes. And then I stitched a little mouth on. I've got the orange star at the bottom hand stitched on also, and then I just sewed the bottom of her body to the head, and we're all set to assemble her and get her sewn together. What we'll do first is arrange the fins. I want them to kind of be like this when they're done, so what we're going to do is flip them around and tuck them into the body here. And what you'll want to do is make sure the fins don't get caught up along the edge where the 1/4 inch seam will be. You don't want to accidentally sew a fin. And then I'm just going to put a couple pins here to hold them in. I'm going to arrange her buns. I want them about here on her face, so then once I see where I want them, I flip them over and align the raw edge of the hair to the raw edge of her face and place the pins there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And last, we just have the arms. And the arms will go just right here at the seam line of her neck and her body. And again, I'm going to just turn them in so they're facing inward and put a couple pins to hold them in place. And now I have all the parts on the mermaid, and I'm just going to take the back of her, flip her over, and pin this down all the way around. And I'm going to leave an opening down the side from underneath her arm to the bottom of her fins for turning later. I'm sewing around this using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I started at the tail stitching and I've come all the way around to her arm, so I'm going to just stop here and leave this section open for turning. Okay, so I've got her all sewn around the edges, and now I'm just going to go in and clip the curves up to the thread line, just like we did on the arms and the hair, to make it around. And once we get this all clipped, then I will turn her right sides out and we'll be ready to fill her with fiberfill. The mermaid is all stuffed now, and I hand stitched up this opening on the side, and so only thing left to do was sew the starfish onto her hair, and that was done with a little needle and thread, tack stitching it on just in the crease right there. And then for the beaded necklace, I strung some beads onto a needle and thread and just tack stitched it to each side of her neck, so that way it wouldn't go anywhere. And that's all it takes to make this little mermaid. I'm sure that you'll have fun doing this, and you'll want to make more for friends, family, and gifts.